Regis, what's up, my man?
Not much, not much. Everything going all right with you?
Oh yeah, fun times here in the coronavirus kingdom. No, we're doing great here in St. Bridget's Rectory, trying to figure out ways to help out and contribute while also not contributing to the spread of disease. So it's an adventure for me being only 8 months a priest, still trying to figure out what to do in this situation. It's been crazy.
Yeah, definitely. This has got to be a pretty rude awakening into your early priesthood. This happening like right at the beginning.
With Easter coming up too. What about you? How have you been dealing with this?
Yeah, well, it's been things are really different. That's for sure. I'm going a little stir crazy because I still live with my family, and so there's five of us in the house normally. It's my parents, myself, and I have two sisters. One a senior in high school, one a senior in college. And then the further complicating things is we actually have my 93-year-old grandmother visiting with us right now, which, obviously that presents a whole lot of, concerns in terms of making sure that she's kept safe. So we've been on pretty strict lockdown here for a little while. So it's definitely, definitely a bit of a struggle, but we're all making it work. We've got four people working from home all at the same time, so the
Wow.
strain on Wi-Fi and everything. But we're surviving. That's the important part.
I bet our teenagers at St. Bridget of Sweden Parish can relate to the stress of being locked down, spotty Wi-Fi, everyone on top of each other, getting on each other's nerves. Why are you taking so long in the shower? Why'd you eat the last of the Captain Crunch? What is going on here?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we wanted to get together today and chat a little bit about and kind of speak to our teenagers and our young population as well. Just to let you guys know that we have not forgotten you during this time. Um, we are still all about you. I'm still a youth minister. Father is still a priest. And we haven't forgotten about our ministry to the youth of our parish. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to be, a young person during this coronavirus pandemic. So, let's just to start off, Father. Why don't you tell me what does your day to day kind of look like since you kind of shut down and it's been you, Father Romans, and Fenway in the rectory together. What's your day to day been like?
Well, I've been waking up and doing a holy hour, spending time with Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament first thing in the morning, trying to start my day with like direct FaceTime with the boss, hanging out with Jesus. And
Mm,
then I will come down for breakfast and I'll do a little work on my computer for a little while. There's still people to contact. There's people that need the last rites. There's people that are having difficulties that need to talk to a priest. So I'm still doing all my appointments via phone. And I actually had a guy come for confession yesterday, and he drove into the church parking lot, and I ran outside, and we went to confession with him in his car and me standing a few feet away. So that was cool.
that is so awesome.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of cooking, trying to get better at cooking since we're
Hmm.
kind of, in here now. We got all this food, so I'm trying to try my hand at some things. I made chicken parm one night, and father made tacos last night, so that was cool. And been doing a lot of reading. I've been
Yeah.
catching up on books that I've been really trying to get, that I haven't been able to get to in a while. And I've been working out a lot. I have a little
Nice.
gym upstairs in the third floor of the rectory. So on days that it's been nice, I've been going for long runs on the trail here in town. And on days that it's been colder, I've been using my little weight room upstairs. So a little bit of rest, a little bit of work, a lot of prayer, trying to stay connected to the people. It's been good. Tell me about you.
Nice. Yeah. So it's some similarities and some differences as well. So certainly uh, to piggyback off of what you said about like going for longer runs and stuff like that. I've been trying to walk more. I live in an area with a lot of beautiful scenery, and I have to say one of the in terms of trying to keep things positive, I've never seen this many people like out and about walking. We always talk about like, oh, the world today is so like yada yada yada. Everybody just sits inside on their phones and stuff like that. But I have never seen this many people out and walking. So that's super awesome. But
Observing
like my
social
normal,
distancing, of course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we had my mom and I had a conversation with our neighbors across the street the other day. So that was interesting.
Nice.
Um, but like just on a normal day-to-day basis. So as some of you know, I work part-time here at St. Bridget, and then the other part of my week is actually spent as a voice actor. That's why I have this microphone here. So normally I'll wake up a little later than I did pre-quarantine, which is nice. Get a little extra sleep because no commute. I'll go down, chat with my family a little bit, have my my morning cup of tea and my nice fantasy champ mug. I won my fantasy football league last year, so that's always a good time. And then I'll come up. This is I kind of made corner of my my room a little home office. I got my desk, I got my computer, my whole setup, whatever. And then I've been working the majority of the working day, whether it be doing promotion stuff for youth ministry and trying to see how we can continue to stay connected with each other during this time, or looking for other voice work that I've been doing as well. So there's been a couple of cool developments there, but the biggest issue I'm running into is like 4 o'clock, 4:30, because that's usually when I leave work and I come home, and then I come home and rest. But when 4 o'clock, 4:30 hits, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be up for another 7-8 hours. What the heck am I going to do? Because it's just this yawning like chasm of time, and I have no idea what to do with it. So I mean, I've been playing a lot of video games. Been looking at a lot of screens. Call of Duty just dropped this new Warzone mode like right as all this was happening, so that's been sucking a lot of my time. It's coronavirus. But it's so I've been trying to read a little bit more as well. Certainly read my Bible more, which is good. A lot of getting into a lot of Paul's letters on the New Testament. Kind of rediscovered Romans, which is that's like my favorite book of the Bible. So that was cool. But I'm struggling, especially with all these playing all these video games, watch a lot of Netflix, that kind of stuff. I'm feeling a little bit empty inside. Like there's like something missing. And I think that's probably I don't know about you, Father, that might be something you can relate to. Certainly, I think maybe some of our teens could probably relate to that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I've never had this much free time before, and there's a beauty in free time, as you said. Like I get to do these things that I haven't been able to do in so long, and there's also a drawback to free time because we don't know how to fill it, and often we fill it in ways that leave us less than satisfied. So I would think for our teenagers who we're making this video for, a couple thoughts for you. During these days of lockdown and quarantine and home isolation, the first thing to do is to have a schedule. There's been so many good memes and funny videos and funny things on the internet lately. One of my favorite ones is this tweet from this kid who wrote, I really wanted to just share my daily routine with everyone. It gives me a sense of structure and a sense of purpose for getting through the day. 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. stare at my phone.
Yep, I saw that too.
And I was like, it's so true. There's this temptation to just be on our phones all day, every day. And believe me, I've been on my phone more than I ever have before. You know how you could check your average screen time?
Oh, I've been avoiding that like the plague. I don't want to know.
I'm up 56%.
What?
It's crazy. So
yeah.
But in that, I felt the same restlessness, the same uneasiness, the same unsatisfaction after a while. So 2 points. One, it's okay to be on your phone a little bit more than usual. That's one way that we're going to pass the time during these days. But in a broader spectrum for our teens, let's have a game plan every morning. When you dictate what you will do today, and then stick with that schedule as closely as possible, you will feel more accomplished and more satisfied at the end of the day than when you wake up whenever you feel like it, when you lounge through the day without doing anything productive. When the day dictates what happens to you, you're going to feel those feelings of restlessness and unsatisfaction. But when you apply your will, using the part of us that makes decisions, the part of us that makes us human, that, you know what, like Regis just said, sleep in. That's what these days are for. Rest, catch up. So maybe I'm going to wake up at 9, whatever. Pick a time that works for you. Then I'm immediately going to do something productive for my mind, body, and soul. So for my body, maybe it's going for a long walk, as Regis said. Maybe it's I dust off those dumbbells that have been sitting in the basement. Maybe I do like 20 push-ups and 20 sit-ups, whatever it is.
Right.
Something for my body. Then I'm going to do something for my mind. And I'm not talking about, watching TikTok videos for 12 hours. Something intellectually stimulating.
Right.
A book, painting, coloring, drawing, playing music, something that exercises the intellect. And then, of course, something for my soul. Regis mentioned reading the Bible. Did you know, Regis, I learned this last night by reading the Bible. Did you know that when Jesus says, "This is the cup of my blood, which will be poured out," we say this every time at the Mass, the phrase poured out actually means the aorta has been cut and the blood is spurting like a major artery has been cut. Not like I'm pouring out a little blood for you.
It's like the finger prick you get at the doctor's office.
Right. The verb there means to have blood gushing in a dramatic, violent way.
Wow.
Wow, like that opens up such a new insight into meditating on why Jesus would lay down his, what it meant for him to lay down his life for us. This was a really powerful action. Anyway, I got that because I was studying the Bible last night for like a sort of spiritual pursuit. But there's so many other spiritual pursuits our teens can do. Of course, there's, this is what your blog posts deal with every week, like ways that kids can apply their faith in the real world in 2020. So wake up every day, have a schedule, stick to it as best you can, and feed your mind, body, and soul during your time home. That's my thoughts for that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. It makes me think of, I'm sure you know the Serenity Prayer. And it's, I'm going to butcher it. It's not, I don't have it perfect, but it's like, Lord, it's grant me it's like the courage to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Nice.
And
I've heard of it.
You just hit the nail on the head with that right there. I mean, what can't we change right now? What's going on outside, and the fact that things are shut down and we're kind of stuck in here for a little bit. But what can we change and control is what we do with all of this free time that we have now. And setting that schedule is a great way to exercise that control that we have now. So let's just talk a little bit about, like, we spoke about this yearning for something more, kind of an emptiness. Let's talk about why that might be. And I have a theory, and it ties into my blog post from this past week. And it's that we've been taking all of this free time, or speaking about myself here, I've been taking all of this free time and I've been spending it relaxing, but not resting. And I can hear, some of you guys watching saying, like, well, those are the same thing. What are you talking about? And they're definitely similar. But my thought is that relaxing takes the things that are stressing us, what's going on outside, and, the fact that people are scared and lots of people are sick and we can't, shake hands or give hugs anymore. The news can be stressful. Being with our families can be stressful after a certain period of time. There's lots of stressors out there. So relaxing mutes those, it kind of quiets them down, pushes them down a little bit, right? So if I go play like 5 games of Warzone, I'm going to have a ton of fun. I'm not thinking about, what's going on with the stress or anything like that. And that's fine. It helps me feel better. But when I turn off the PlayStation and I go back, that stressor is still there and it's still weighing on me. And I have to push it down with something else. Rest helps us to deal with our stressors and to kind of come to terms with them, right? So, you mentioned like spiritual pursuits, reading books, taking care of our bodies, working out, eating better, that sort of thing. When you're taking care of your mind, it's a lot harder for your mind to run away and, cripple you with anxiety, basically. If you're doing stuff to keep yourself sharp, if you're working on staying in touch with the best parts of yourself, then it's going to be a lot easier to deal with what is admittedly a stressful time, I think, for all of us.
For sure. I I think you got it right, exactly correct. And the difference between rest and relaxation is critical because we actually have the time now to explore the difference. And I think one thing that could also be said for our teenagers and our young people is that relaxation is good too. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a relax, to turn our brain off for a couple hours, to play a couple games of Madden or Warzone, to watch a movie. These are good things and they're part of resting. But
Right.
resting has a sense of recreation. When we talk about the word recreation, we're hanging out, we're recreating. That's a word that's associated with that. If you look at the word recreation, it's to recreate. Resting involves recharging the person from a deep level. And I love that you talked about when we're staring at our screens for hours on end, we can't stop, but there's also this sense of restlessness.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This sense of longing. I think you used the word yearning, and it makes me think of like what boredom is. And if you look at what boredom is, it is such a fascinating human condition. In our crazy modern, hyper busy world, where we're connected 24/7 and have access to the entire collection of human knowledge all in one place at one time on our phones, and when we're hyper connected with people across the world, you would think that boredom wouldn't exist in our society and our culture today because we have constant stimulation, but boredom does exist. And we're seeing it so much more in these days at home when so many people are turning to their screens, which is not a bad thing. It's a good way to chill out. But when we look to our phones to satisfy us in the way that only God can satisfy us, we'll always feel that boredom and that restlessness. So here's my theory on boredom for our teenagers.
All right, let's get it.
Boredom is an invitation. Hold on, I have my cards here. I got some stationery with my name on it when I became a priest. I use them to send out like letters and thank you cards. These are invitations.
Okay.
Boredom is an invitation. When you're at home, you're on your phone, you're playing games, you're going from like one screen to the next, one pursuit to the next. There's nothing wrong with that for a while. But when you cross that line, threshold of, I'm really just avoiding the more productive things that I could be doing in life, boredom will set in. And that boredom is an invitation from Jesus to go out of yourself and back into the world. Grow out of this pursuit of whatever it is that we're looking for on our phones that's never going to be there. The things that only a God, the intimacy and satisfaction, personal relationship that we're all searching for. Every one of us, from the youngest to the oldest, we're all searching in our hearts for this deep happiness. And sometimes we insist that it's going to be on our phones. We insist that it's going to be in that person that we're having like a relationship with that maybe we shouldn't be in a certain way. We insist that we could just make ourselves happy, but it's never going to be there. And the more that we try to find something that's not there, the border we'll get. And that border is an invitation from Jesus to say, just take a few minutes, put the phone down and come to me. Only Jesus satisfies. There's this quote that I read on Twitter the other day that has just blown me away. And the quote is, beneath the gaze of Jesus, all falsehood melts away. Pope Benedict XVI. Beneath the gaze of Jesus, all falsehood melts away. So when we stop and spend a few minutes with Jesus, put the phone down and intentionally say, Lord, I'm craving something. I'm not finding it in my phone. Teach me what's the truth. What is the truth about my life? What is the truth about where we're going as a crazy culture in this world with coronavirus? Lord, teach me when I stop and spend that time looking at Jesus in my spirit, or live streaming adoration or something like that, all falsehood melts away. That's why this phenomenon of boredom is an indication that we're not going in the right direction. So when you feel bored, kids, stop what you're doing and intentionally redirect your life, because that's what's going to free you from listlessness and boredom. And I think that's what I've been doing, and it's been working so far.
Yeah, I mean, what better time to find like healthy, positive ways to deal with boredom than right now when we have nothing but free time and, we can decide what we want to do with it. And I love what you said about boredom being an invitation, because I really think that is something that our young people at St. Bridget of Sweden Parish can really think about right now, because, of course, you and I are coming at this from a Catholic perspective. You're a Catholic priest. I'm a Catholic youth minister. And we are those things because we believe that Catholicism and Jesus and the Word of God is the truth, not just truth, it's the truth. But we also recognize that as a young person, not everyone's there. When I was in, especially like freshman, sophomore year of high school, I was not fully in, I guess, on the Catholic faith. I mean, it's for a variety of different reasons. It wasn't like I practiced, but it wasn't mine. You know what I'm saying? So that might be where you're at. If you're watching this, listening to this right now, maybe that's where you are. Maybe you're hearing us say, I'll put the phone down if you're bored or something like that, and say, God, show me the truth or something like that. But maybe you're saying, hey, I don't have a relationship with God. I don't know how to talk to him like that. That's just not where I'm at in my own personal life. And I want to tell you that that's okay. We recognize that people are at different places in their faith life. And I would suggest that maybe that is what this time is for. So here's what I'm talking about. Here's a couple of things that this time is for. It's for family. We're all stuck together with our families. So, try to work on and grow those relationships with your family. Break out a board game, do something together as a family. Actually, like, pick a movie together, as hard as it is, and watch a movie together. For starting good habits, maybe working out more, maybe eating a little better, maybe trying to read a little bit more, whatever it might be. Ending bad habits. If you find yourself getting drawn into things you shouldn't be getting drawn to, especially when there's just this endless void of time. I heard somewhere that, like, boredom is the devil's playground, because when you're just left there with your own thoughts in your own mind, the devil is nowhere near as powerful as God, but the devil is smart. He knows you, and he knows exactly how to push your buttons and to draw you into temptation when there's nothing else going on. Especially when we can't be present together in the mass. The devil's having a field day right now with temptation. So that's something to keep in mind. But another thing that I want to talk about a little bit that I think this time is really for is finding out what you really believe and doing some real, like, deep diving within yourself. Because maybe you're not fully sold on the Catholic faith. Like, maybe you don't know if this is for you. Maybe you're Catholic because your parents are, or maybe you're getting confirmed to make your grandma happy. Like, maybe this has never been yours for your whole life. And I have a challenge for our young people. I have a challenge. And my challenge is this: whether you are a devout Catholic, or you're just going through the motions to please your parents, or you have no idea if any of this is real, I want you to give, and Father, I'd like to get your thoughts on this as well. I want you to give God an honest chance during this break. And what that looks like is, I can't tell you exactly what that's going to look like. Everybody's different, but give God an honest chance. And what do I mean by that? I mean, actually sit down, think about, pray about, however you feel you need to come to that. Actually think, without the influence of friends, social media, teachers, confirmation teachers, youth ministers, whatever it is. Think for yourself. Where are you at with this faith stuff? Is this yours? Is this something that you believe in? Is this something that you care about? Because I believe that if you give God an honest chance, truly an honest chance within your own heart, he will make himself known to you in one way or another. Because he's good like that. Like I said, I wasn't fully in on this stuff until I went on a mission trip the summer after my sophomore year of high school. So I don't know, Father, do you want to speak a little bit to, just what that might look like for someone, giving God an honest chance and really kind of discerning where they're at in regards to their faith?
Yeah, that's good stuff, Regis. I love how you said that some of our young people are just not into this. It's not their own. It's someone else's faith, and that's where you're at right now. But somehow, if you've made it this far into the video, you haven't turned it off yet, there's something calling you. There's something tugging at your heart. And that something is called the Holy Spirit. God, as Regis said, is inviting you in these days of different routine to meet him. So what I would propose is doing an experiment. Experiments are where we test a hypothesis and see what the data yields. So I would suggest doing an experiment every day for the next 30 days. Put a calendar. I will do two things. I will for 10 minutes a day, and I will connect with God in a digital way, like connect with the sacraments of the church, connect with the liturgy of the church. So meaning I will watch the mass time and try to enter into it. I will participate in some devotion. I will do these two things. I will pray for 10 minutes a day, and I will do some devotion or digital participation in the church. All right. What is praying, Regis? So we tell our kids, oh, you got to pray, but we never explain to them what that is and what that looks like. And I like when we use these words with me and you, it's something that's more natural. We talk about this a lot, but let's break it down to its most essential element for our young people. Praying is talking to God like you talk to your best friend. Casual, conversational, honest, real, intimate. This is not praying. Oh, our Father, who art in heaven. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying recited prayers. These are the prayers we learned when we were kids. They're the building blocks of our faith. But at a certain point of maturity, those prayers take a backseat, and what prayer becomes is dialogue, not monologue, dialogue. And we lose all this pretension, all this formality in prayer. That's just simply a way that we keep God. When we lose that formality, when we are our real vulnerable selves, that's an invitation to true intimacy. When we show God who we are, saying like, God, today sucked. I hated it. I can't. My family right now, they're on my nerves. I got to get out of this house. That's real. When we talk to God honestly, he talks back honestly. So 10 minutes a day, real conversation. And then the number one thing that I get when we teach this to young people is, well, I don't hear anything back. So Regis, I invite your thoughts for what to do when this great void of silence happens. Because newsflash, young teenagers, you're not the first person ever who started praying. It actually means they're doing it right.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have said it better than that, Father, really. I mean, that's the moment that the first time that I really felt like God was listening and that I was actually talking to someone as opposed to just, kind of reciting things, is when I started being honest with God. So telling him about the crappy stuff and, kind of just talking to him like a friend, like you said. And you asked about, what it's like to kind of deal with not hearing anything back. And I can tell you that is the majority of the time. I mean, it is miraculous to actually hear the voice of God like you hear my voice right now speaking to you. Like that's a miracle. That's not kind of what to expect when you pray normally.
Right, but that doesn't mean God is not speaking, of course.
Right, of course. That's you're exactly right. Just because you don't hear a voice does not mean that God's not speaking to you. Because God isn't human. He has other ways of communicating with us. God's language is life. God's language is the world. So he doesn't speak to you in words necessarily all the time, but God might speak to you through people. God might speak to you through actions. God might speak to you through feelings within yourself. Like he controls all that stuff. So he can talk to you however he wants to. It's kind of like, You talk about we have like the entire human knowledge in our hand with a smartphone. You have infinite ways of communicating with other people, right? Well, imagine God has every smartphone in the world times a million, and that's how many ways he has of getting in touch with you.
I love that.
It's like, and that's tough to wrap your head around. But I'll just say this: the ways there are infinite different ways in which you can be spoken to by God, and the more that you look and listen for him, the less you will feel like you're not getting anything back.
Right.
It's prayer is like most things. You get out what you put in. So if you go and you say one Our Father per week and you expect God to, come walking out of your closet and speak to you in person, like, it's probably not going to happen. But if you take Father Federico's challenge and you pray for 10 minutes a day, maybe for the first couple of days you won't hear anything, you won't feel anything, but bring that to God. If your first 3 days you don't feel like you're getting anything back, on your fourth day, say, hey God, I'm trying this. I want to hear something from you. I'm giving you an honest shot right now. Speak to me. And then look and listen for ways that he might be speaking to you. And you know what? Maybe your mom will cook an extra great dinner for you that night. Or maybe when you're sitting there bored, a thought might come to you. Hey, maybe I should read the Bible. Maybe when you're talking with your friends online playing Warzone and they ask what you're doing at 1:00 on Sunday, you might say, hey, I'm watching a live stream mass at St. Bridget. I don't know. I can't tell you how God's going to speak to you because I'm not God. Father Federico can't tell you that either because, we're humans. That's how we work. But it's all about how willing you are to listen and how open you are to other methods of communication. That's the best advice that I can give, is that God doesn't function like we do. He's got a lot more ways to get in touch with us than just words.
Right. So here would be my prayer hacks for teenagers who are beginning to pray for the first time. 1, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to God about what you're feeling and what you're experiencing. 2, expect God to speak back to you. When we have this expectation that God only speaks to priests or youth ministers or saints or holy people, we're already defeating the purpose. God wants to be in a relationship with each of us, not a transaction, a relationship. People in relationships speak to each other. So we have to expect God to speak to each other. And 3, maybe the most important, and you touched on this, Regis, we can't decide how God's going to speak to us. The minute we start saying, well, I demand a thunderstorm with words written in the lightning that is going to teach me what God wants me to do with my life. The minute we start putting expectations, we're starting to play God, and we're not God.
Right.
God is God, and we are not. Let God decide the method of reaching us. Maybe it's in a sunset. Maybe it's in a poem. Maybe it's in a song lyric. But believe me, young people, you will know when this is not just a regular moment, then this is a God moment. You will know. And in that moment, your conversation has begun. And another thing that is really, I think, really a touching image. When you are sitting on the couch with your best friend and you are pouring your heart out and you have so much to share. You're having a week. You're having a day, and you need that best friend's attention. They're carefully listening to you. You're in a safe place to really expose who you are and what you're feeling. That moment, and then you've talked for a long time. You've gotten all of it out. Maybe you're crying, and then your friend doesn't say anything. They're carefully being present to you. You want to know why they're not saying anything? And I know that we all can relate to this moment. The reason is because they know that you have more to say. And they're not jumping in at the first opportunity to take the conversation over. They're giving you that space to get it all out. They know there's this pause between them. Like you've just finished sobbing and telling them your heart, and there's not a word said back. That's like the silence of God. When we pour our hearts out in prayer and we think we're not getting anything or we're not hearing God, God is giving us that space to get it all out because he knows that we have more to say. He's that friend that's not rushing to overtake the conversation. That's a relationship. That's not a transaction. That's a relationship. So that's the Father Federico challenge. Learn how to struggle in prayer, young teenagers. If you learn how to struggle in prayer now, you will be set up for a lifetime of conversation with God later. Prayer is not easy. As Regis said, nobody wants to work out. Nobody wants to eat healthy. Everyone wants to eat junk food. Oh, that's our craving. Everyone wants to stay on the couch, but we force ourselves to go to the gym. We force ourselves to eat well because we know the payoff will be so much greater in the long term. That's true in our physical bodies. It's definitely true of prayer in our soul. Let's learn to be disciplined. Let's learn to struggle in it, and we'll reap the benefits later on.
Amen. Like I love that analogy of when your best friend listening because they know you have more to say. I've never heard that before, and that's like incredibly moving for me to hear. So I love that. So as we start to wrap up here, I want to draw our young people's attention to a couple of online resources, a couple of things that are out there. If you are interested, and maybe you take Father Federico's prayer challenge and it's working for you and you want a little bit more. Here's a couple of things that you can look into. The first is real close to home. Father Federico, do you want to talk about what's going on the St. Bridget Facebook page?
Every day at 1 o'clock during the coronavirus quarantine craziness period, every day at 1 o'clock on Facebook, our parish is putting out new content, live content. So we have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, which means you can see Jesus in person, comes out of the tabernacle and you can see him in person. We have Stations of the Cross. We have different minute reflections. We have the live mass on Sunday, which Father and I celebrate together. Every day at 1 o'clock, there's a different way to connect to your faith through our Facebook page every day, 1 o'clock.
And how long do those last for usually, Father?
They vary. So they could be, some are short, some are longer, but you can tune in for a minute or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you need.
Right. Absolutely. So in a time where there's nothing but free time, even, just a little snippet of that free time might be a good investment. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is I put this out to the youth ministry teams, the next generation of disciples. And a couple of them did this with me and really, really enjoyed it last week. It's called Project YM Live. It's essentially, because we can't meet in person for youth group right now, it's kind of like an online youth group. There were 10,000 people at this thing this past week. And I know there's going to be more this week because it was freaking awesome. Basically what it is an online youth group night. It's 1 hour on Sunday nights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, so when we send out this video to you guys, I will put a link in there to that. Basically, the people who run this, they get popular Catholic speakers, musicians, whatever it might be, to come on and give little presentations. They are timely. They talk about, everybody's in quarantine right now, so they can relate just as much as you can. So every Sunday night from 8 to 9 p.m., Project YM Live. Definitely, I will be there because I get a lot from it, and I would recommend that you guys check it out as well. So, any final closing thoughts, Father, as we wrap up here?
Just one thing comes to mind to our young people: do an experiment. Try something different. If the way that you're living in quarantine isn't satisfying you, then do something different and see if it works. Go to Project YM one night, even though that's not your usual thing. See if something speaks to you there. And if not, you could say you tried it. Pray for 10 minutes a day. Talk to God honestly for 10 minutes a day. If you are not changed in a month, just abandon the experiment and say, I tried it. But if you give God that space, if you do something different, if you pick up the Bible and dust it off, Regis is reading the book of Romans right now. The book of Romans speaks to what we're going through exactly right now. Romans 8:28, right? Read the book of Romans. If you don't even know what the words mean, write it down and then email Regis and exchange about it. Like, my point is, You have nothing to lose, and you have all this free time to do something you've never tried before. If you give God this much opening, this much attention, this much of your attention and free time, speak. He'll come into your life and you'll be a changed person after it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Literally, infinity and heaven and God to gain. Try nothing to lose.
Yeah, you're not giving up time with your friends. You're not giving up time with sports. You're not giving up going out, whatever. There is nothing to lose. And this, God willing, we will never have this opportunity again with nothing to lose. So take advantage of it. Take Father up on his challenge. Do an experiment. Give God a chance, and really honestly, try to do some soul searching and figure out where you stand with this. Because if you create an opening for God, he will flood in and he will change your life. And I can speak to that because it's happened to me, and Father can speak to that because it's happened to him as well. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Just wanted to hop on and, kind of chop it up a little bit and talk about.
We haven't forgotten you guys. We have not forgotten you.
Yeah, no, we have not. I'm still working from home, trying to think of ways to keep engaged with the young people of our parish. Father Federico and Father Romans are praying for you guys every day. The church is not abandoning you. And I hope that you won't abandon the church either. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for attention. Father, do you want to give us a quick young people blessing, and then we'll hop off here?
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Lord,
Amen.
pour out your heart and your presence into our young people who have such a tremendous opportunity to experiencing you in these weird, crazy days. Lord, give them the courage to open their hearts just a little bit for your presence to come pouring in and to change our lives. And I offer this blessing in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Father.
Bye, Regis. Bye, everyone.